Probably a decade ago, I threw away my last photo printer and swore I would just send everything out to MPix, the printer I choose. But Epson contacted me recently and offered to send over a P600 for me to use. And I thought, why not? Because printers have come a long way since I last gave up on them. There are some distinct advantages to home printing. That's my dog Cowboy. And in the last few weeks that we've been using the P600, we've really learned to love it. I can't do a full comparison against competing printers because that would just require a lot of large devices and desk space. But we've been working with the P600 and we've gotten great results with it. So I'm gonna show you some pictures, talk about how it compares to standard printers, and talk about the benefits and disadvantages of printing at home. First, if you send out to a place like MPix, like we do, and get prints delivered to your home or your clients, it tends to be a little more expensive per print, and you'll have to pay for shipping in one way or another. But particularly when you use a good printer, you can get perfect results with no fussing, because they do all the fussing for you. So you don't have to worry about things like color matching, and if you don't have all those screw-ups. I mean, we just always have screw-ups. In fact, we printed this just for our office holiday cards, and we printed it landscape instead of portrait. It's just, anyway, it was sideways, and then because we printed it from Photoshop, the color space wasn't right. And that's stuff you can fix, because you can just, once you print a few things, you learn to check for all of this. But I find when I do print at home, I just forget, and I screw stuff up occasionally. And so you just end up paying for this kind of thing. But if you go to MPix, they probably won't screw it up, but if they do, you still don't have to pay for it. So while prints from this might be, I think comes in at about $1.36 for an 8x10, and MPix would charge you like $2.40 or $2.50 plus shipping. They're cheaper, but your hit ratio is something under 100%, so you might have to make 2 prints before you get the color and everything right. There'll be a few screw-ups when you're factoring in the cost. One of the biggest costs with a printer like this is the amount of desk space that it consumes. So this is a huge printer, and it does fold down smaller than this. So I can collapse this and I can fold this up. So it's not protruding into my office space so much, but nonetheless, most people don't have a desk big enough to store this kind of thing. I'll also say it does not replace your standard office printer. So here we have, the printer that we will continue to use, just an old brother all-in-one printer, because it has a sheet feeder and a scanner, and it can do duplexing. This is not what you print contracts and model releases with. This is for prints only, really, and it lacks a lot of basic features that a normal printer like that would have, like duplexing. But we've printed a lot of pictures with a lot of great success. To talk about some of the print modes, we'll start with this. It prints up to 13 inches wide, and then as long as you want. And here's a print that Justin made, and it ended up just gorgeous. This was taken with a 7D Mark II, so it wasn't taken with, a full frame camera even, but the detail looks absolutely perfect. And even if I get as close as I can, everything looks extremely sharp. This printer will print to 1440 pixels per inch. The color rendition looked absolutely exactly what we expected. We're printing directly from Lightroom, and we get a lot of success with that. And Lightroom will talk to the printer and figure out how to get matching colors. And we've gotten nothing but pretty much perfect results. Also notice it prints right to the edge. That's something most office printers will not do, and that means you don't have to actually cut it. You still might need to invest in a paper cutter if you want your prints to be of a particular size. One little flaw we noticed, and it warned you about this when you select borderless printing, but if you look at the very corners here, you can see that the corners aren't as sharp as the center of the picture when you do borderless printing, and that can be okay, because usually we're putting it into a frame, and the frame will end up covering that part of it anyway. Plus, nobody else really would have noticed. Justin was looking really closely. Another one of the benefits of using an actual photo printer is they will have multiple bins of black ink. So this particular printer can take either glossy or matte black ink, but it stores pure black, light black, and then light black. And of course, for white, it doesn't print anything. You just shine through. The paper itself just shows. I printed this black and white print because it had a lot of just very smooth tonal graduations in the God rays in front of the mountains here. And to my eye, it looks absolutely perfect. And only some small parts here are actually perfectly black. But as I look really closely, all the detail that was in the A7R2's capture shows through, and I can see individual trees here and the shape formed by the river that flowed through the mountains. And all the detail looks absolutely perfect. So there's nothing visually to tell me that this wasn't printed by MPix or another professional printer. All these prints look absolutely perfect. Here's a print that Chelsea made using the matte paper. So you can get paper with different finishes, and it looks great too. And as you can see, this also is a complex picture to print because the color is rich, but there's a lot of just smooth gradations. And if you were to print that on your office printer, you would definitely see little imperfections there. Stuff just wouldn't be perfectly smooth. We did a side-by-side comparison with MPix, where we took a print that we had from MPix and we made a print here. And the colors didn't match exactly because MPix will do their own color processing unless you tell them not to, where they know their printer well and they try to make skin tones look particularly natural. But nonetheless, the colors that came out of the printer did look like the original picture did. And as far as the detail goes, we couldn't see any difference. It's no less detailed or perfect than the MPix print. Now, I wouldn't hesitate to call one of these professional print, with one exception, in that they aren't coated to prevent fading from UV light. Any print that's not specially coated or not behind UV special glass will fade over time, and those colors will fade. So one advantage to having your own printer at home is you can say in a couple of years, you can look and be like, oh, this print is faded, I'm just going to reprint it. You don't have to order it out and wait for it, and it's not going to cost you too much when you do reprint it. We also use that to just recycle prints. But when you get it from MPix, you can pay like an extra 79 cents and they'll actually coat it, and that will help protect it and let it last many other years. If you are printing at home and you want that kind of UV protection, you can get frames that have special UV glass, like this print that I made with this printer here. It just has a special UV glass. It cost me a few extra dollars. This frame is from Art to Frames. I just paid. I don't have a relationship with them. But I was really happy with it, and because of the special glass here, this print from the printer here should last many years. How long it lasts is going to depend just how much sunlight is hitting it. If it's in your basement or it's not in direct sun, it'll probably last plenty long. So the printer prints 13 inches wide, and you can see this print is actually really large. This is like I think 180 megapixel stitched together panorama taken by an A7R2 in Machu Picchu. And I was so pleased with the results. The color is perfect, the detail is perfect, the resolution and sharpness of it. The deep shadows show all the detail that I saw in the original picture. And I'll show you how it gets to make such a long print. It comes to the printer like this, sideways, and it can be indefinitely long. So if you're into wide panoramas, you could make a print that was several feet wide. It takes sheet paper back here that feeds right into the back of the printer. So you just line it up and it will print. Could take a while if you're going to print something really big, but ultimately it comes out and looks absolutely gorgeous. You'll have to, put it on some sort of backing or frame it so that it's not curly. But over time, that picture has looked great. Epson has a wide variety of paper types available. Here we have a textured matte paper. We have metallic glossy, metallic luster, smooth matte, and my favorite, the photo paper luster. And you can get them in a wide variety of sizes too. This is the paper for the big, huge prints that you saw. And this is kind of the modern version of the old school printmaking, choosing your papers, getting your colors and ink just right, and picking your different finishes and framing it. This is still an important part of photography. Another nice feature of this printer and its big brother, which can print even wider, is the iPrint app from Epson, which allows you to print directly from your phone or tablet. So a lot of people don't use a computer, then go through Lightroom. They do all their processing on their phone or on their computer, and this can allow you to get real professional results with it. So let's print something real quick. I'll walk you through the process. Let me move these out of here. First, of course, you have to open up the paper tray and load it with some paper. put the printer side up. When you do this, the printer here will prompt you to pick the paper size. This is 8.5 by 11. And my phone's connected up, so I can just select a picture. Set the paper size here. You always want to be sure you set the media type correctly and make it print at high quality, because by default it will be sent to print fast. But since you're not using it for office style stuff anyway, you want to always print at the max quality. So this is the premium luster photo paper, which is my favorite paper. The layout, we'll do borderless, paper source, rear tray, color, print date, autocorrect on. Print quality here, go to best. And let's print it. Oh, I gotta take this down. There you go, it's a little crop to it, so it lets me frame it. You don't generally connect the printer directly to your computer. Instead, you'll connect it to your network, either wired or Wi-Fi, and print over the network. That's really convenient because there's 3 of us in the office here, plus our mobile devices, and we can all print directly to the printer, and you don't bog down anybody's computer. A couple of tips while that prints. You want to use good quality paper. If you try to use regular copy paper, it's going to look bad. And you can get paper from other manufacturers and it should work fine, but I have found just generally better luck with paper that was made by the manufacturer of the printer, because I think they actually just do their testing and calibration together. So you might want to cheap out and get generic stuff, but I generally just stick with the name brand paper. You can also get generic ink for this printer or about any other printer, and that will definitely save you money. I encourage you to experiment with that. I've had mixed results though. When I found what I've used generic ink, it will often work correctly, and then it seems to fail on a regular basis. And when it fails, of course, the entire print is a waste, including the paper and the ink. So in the end, it can end up actually costing you more. And again, time is money. So I just kind of ended up using the actual name brand ink when I'm doing actual prints. Like for the office stuff, I'll tend to use just generic ink. Be sure to put the printer on a stable surface and don't touch the printer while it's printing. Any sort of vibration in this printer or any printer can cause the head to bounce around and just cause little imperfections. Especially, you might see errors. So you might see each individual row where the printer was printing. If you have a cat, my cat used to love to dive into the printer because it would attack the print head, but of course that would immediately ruin the print. Now you want to be careful not to handle the print until it's dried completely, because the ink will be wet and it will get ruined, but the print ended up looking really good. I mean, it's taken with my iPhone at arm's length and I didn't do any post-processing on it, so maybe it's a little overexposed, and I can even see a spot from dead pixels from the phone, but that's the phone's problem. I think the printer itself did a great job, and it's really nice that I have the ability to print directly from my phone. So if you're interested, check out the P600 printer, or if you have even more desk space and you want to make even bigger prints, check out the larger and slightly more expensive Epson P600 printer. In summary, I really like the printer. They sent it to me. I didn't buy it on my own, and I haven't done a complete comparison against other printer types, but our results with this have been fantastic, and I think it would make a great gift for any photography enthusiast. Don't forget to like to see other reviews and photography techniques, and subscribe too. Thanks.